is full moon time. It is our February full moon pick a stack reading. It is the snow moon this month. And it is in Virgo. So it's affecting people with Virgo placements and Pisces placements. So I've got 2 for 3 in my big 3. But full moon is the time for releasing, kind of clearing out the clutter, both in your physical space and your mental and emotional space. And so what we are going to be looking at today is kind of what you need to know for utilizing this full moon energy. As I am filming this on the 24th, it is the full moon today. However, you can kind of still utilize the energy for a few days after. So don't be concerned if you find this video a couple days after the 24th. It's still okay. So we're going to dive into the messages of each of these stacks. In case you have not seen any of my previous videos, the intention here is that you're going to decide which stack of cards is kind of calling to you. So whether that's stack 1, stack 2, or stack 3. And you can base that off of literally like whatever number pops to your head first. If you're drawn to any particular crystal that's on top, that's just for some added flair, if you will. But yeah, just kind of, take a minute, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just ask your spirit team what messages you need to hear today, and whichever stack kind of calls out to you is the one for you. And because these are a little bit more of a generalized reading, because we're not sitting down face-to-face one-on-one, please remember to take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. I do also always encourage my clients that if it's not quite resonating with you right away, just kind of file it away in the back of your mind. And you would probably be surprised at how that might come up or show up for you later down the road. So yeah, with that, you can pause the video if you need a minute or two to kind of decide, or actually don't take a minute or two, because don't overthink this. Just allow whatever comes through to come through. But if you can pause the video, if you want to just kind of take a moment to like ground yourself and tap in. Otherwise, we are going to get started. As a reminder, I do offer private readings as well. All the links for how to book various types of readings are going to be in the description box below. And you can also connect with me over on Instagram at Your Spiritual GPS. And I would be so happy to be able to do a reading one-on-one with you. They are 60 minutes. The typical reading is 60 minutes long, either via phone or Zoom, whichever you prefer. If it is over the phone, I will send you after the fact photos of the cards that I have pulled. If it's over Zoom, obviously I'm able to show you. So, and I usually send photos afterwards too, just so you've got them. But yeah, so with that, I'm going to start with stack number 1, of course. So I'm going to move these two to the side here. Oops. There's a smaller card at the bottom of the stack, so it makes it a little hard to move over. Okay, so let's get this baby in the center here. All right, we're gonna just move our little crystal. This is aquamarine, by the way, so perfect for Pisces season, as is this big chunky boy here that I absolutely love. So we're gonna start with the tarot cards. So we have 3 tarot cards and then a couple of different oracle cards here. I will also put all of the decks that I've used down in the description box as well, if you are interested. So let us see what messages are going to come through for stack number 1 for the full moon. Oh, Queen of Swords. Seven of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. Okay. Interesting. All right. So the very first kind of energy that I get is this queen, like take no prisoners, badass woman. Excuse me, it's morning time, by the way, as I'm filming this, so I think my brain and body is still trying to wake up here. So if I start yawning, that's me releasing some energy too. But yeah, so we have the Queen of Swords. She is very strong. She, again, is like, take no prisoners. I also, in the context of talking about the full moon and kind of things to potentially release, I get the feeling that you maybe are a little bit too much of a take no prisoners mindset right now. And perhaps you're meaning that you have maybe set some boundaries or almost stepped into a persona that is a little bit harder, like hard-edged than you would ultimately want to be. Perhaps you have had to step into that persona, whether it is because of like your position at work, if you're a leader or something like that, and that's kind of how you've had to like lead your team, or perhaps, you know, in your family unit, just in your life somewhere, you've kind of maybe been forced in some ways to develop this persona of this, like, kind of, again, hard ass is kind of the phrase that comes to mind. And so it has absolutely served you well, for sure. So this is not like meant to be a negative or a dig or a judgment against you. It has served you well up to this point. However, now is the time where your spirit team's kind of like, okay, I think we need to drop a little bit of this hardness. Like, let's round out the edges a little bit. Let's soften up a little bit. You can still be just as effective, if not more so, because this persona, where it has evolved, is not your true authentic self. And so if you can be willing to release the parts of that persona that are no longer serving you, that feel maybe now uncomfortable or just icky is the word that comes to mind. If you could, I'm so sorry. If you can drop some of those pieces of this persona, like, again, you can still be this strong, powerful presence, but you don't have to be so, like, hard-nosed about it. And so that's when we kind of get into this Seven of Pentacles energy, which is very much more like organic, a little bit of like a hippie-ish energy, but more about, like, again, in the context of this reading and kind of stemming from what to release out of this persona, kind of tapping into the parts of you that that want to feel grounded a little bit more, and like earthy, which is, you know, perfect for the Virgo full moon, but earthy, and like a slowed down pace. You have, like, you can use this time right now to kind of plant some seeds of like awakening that part of you that is a little bit more just like go with the flow, a little bit more soft, a little bit more like tapping into your compassion, and like simple joy is kind of what keeps coming through. So where this feels this has evolved into being almost I don't know, glamorous is what comes to mind for some reason, but like complicated, putting on airs, or like fussiness, like just a lot of like the image that comes to mind is like, you know, stereotypical, and forgive me, but this is how I'm going to be able to explain what's coming through. A stereotypical, like, you know, very wealthy celebrity woman who is like dressed to the nines all the time, never leaves the house without makeup, never leaves the house without like jewels, all, you know, like just again putting out this like, that's like the protection, all of these like external things and how you present yourself have protected this like softer side of you, because maybe you felt like it would not be possible to be either respected or thought highly of without all of that like external showmanship. But your stripped down nature can and will absolutely be respected, and it might catch people off guard at first. And this isn't to say like you're going to go from like 0 to 100, you know, overnight. You're not going to go from one persona into this, you know, one hard persona into this one, you know, the softer side of you overnight. Like it'll be, this is your opportunity to reflect on what parts of this persona you don't need to carry with you forward. You still want and need some of this because there's a lot of power and protection and just incredible parts of this persona. Don't take a shot every time I say persona. You won't make it much longer. But you don't need all of it anymore. You can actually strip back some of this and be, again, a little bit softer and still have the ability to grow and cultivate I am lost at a loss for a word of what you're going to grow and cultivate here, because I feel like it can be so different depending on like what your certain situation is. So it almost it's coming to mind as a statement with a fill in the blank for you to fill in the blank. So by being this softer person, you are still able to grow and cultivate blank, whatever that is for your specific situation. Again, because I'm not doing this for one person individually, there's going to be some generalizations with this. So feel free to use that in the way that it makes sense. Like whatever this persona has allowed you so far to grow and cultivate, this softer side of you being shown more is going to be able to continue that same trajectory and be an even like more flourishing version of that. And then we have the 7 of Wands here, which this is this feels kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Confirmation. I don't know why English language is very challenging for me today. This feels almost like again, a confirmation of saying you're still going to need a couple of the tools that you have carried with you in this queen persona. And that's kind of where she's like, you know, she's holding on to these 2 wands against these 5 down here that are kind of like coming at her. So these are but there's more like color and movement and like even more power than this power, because this is like in movement, right? So you are like dynamic. This is static power. This is dynamic power. That's what I'm trying to say. And so you still have these really incredible components of this persona that are more than capable of allowing you to still set boundaries and not be influenced by things that your psyche feels like are trying to, harm you or wound you. So this is a, why can I not think of the damn word? This is a reminder. Reminder is not the word I'm trying to look for, and it's going to drive me absolutely bonkers. Assurance, a reassurance. There we go. My goodness gracious. I don't know why that was so hard. This card is a reassurance that you are still 100% fully capable of hanging on to the parts of this persona that really work for you and will work for you moving forward. And that just by downsizing that toolbox, by downsizing those resources a little bit that are for that kind of protection energy, you are still more than capable of kind of, again, keeping at bay the things that might try to steer you off course or harm you in some way, or the things that your psyche believes will harm you in some way. But there's less, there's just less like frou-frou around this person. Like there's so much of this, again, outward expression of power, and this is more internal. So you're kind of shifting into really embracing and embodying your inner dynamic power, and it will be almost more successful in terms of keeping yourself protected, keep your boundaries protected, than this persona is becoming. So hopefully that makes sense. And we'll see kind of as the other cards come through what additional messages we have. But so the first card in the Oracle deck stack is the Saltwater Spirit Oracle cards. So this one, I'm going to have to read it because the font is very small. So this one is the Blue Whale, a call to share your voice and speak your truth. So again, I feel like this is no longer your truth. Your true voice is lost in this, again, in this persona you have put on. And so it is truly time to share your authentic voice. And relate to people in a way that is more who you are at your core, and to speak your truth, because it's going to be, and this is your truth, right? Like you don't need all of this stuff here. This is your truth. So again, it always happens that way. It doesn't matter what decks I put together. They always have this beautiful cohesion. The next card we have is from the Starseed Oracle. This is the Golden Children, Inner Child, Tenderness, Innocence, Rare Gift. So again, tenderness, softness, and really paying attention to that more gentle part of you that has now become lost behind this very like hard exterior that, again, it's tiring carrying this on anymore for yourself. Like it's tiring putting on the fancy dress and all the jewels and doing yourself up all the time, metaphorically, or maybe actually literally as well. But it's exhausting. I get the feeling that you might not maybe entirely realize how exhausting it is, but utilize this time right now, the next few days, to reflect on, okay, how do I really feel about having to put on this disguise or this costume every day? And where can I look inward and kind of rediscover those more innocent, creative, curious parts of myself, softer parts of myself, and use that or allow that to come forward more. And then we have the Moonology Messages deck. I can't do a new moon or full moon reading without pulling from one of my 3 Moonology different decks. But this one's my favorite. Moonstruck, take a breath. Again, reflection. Like, reflect on and get very honest and vulnerable with yourself without judgment, but really take some time, take some intentional time where you can kind of be in a quiet space, not interrupted, and really reflect, breathe through it, like really understand what this has evolved to. Thank that part of you for becoming who it has become, because it did serve a purpose, and parts of that persona will still serve a purpose for you for moving forward. So thank that part of you. Forgive that part for any kind of, again, like exhaustion or adverse effects maybe that it has ended up having on you. And then take that time to really discover, okay, how can I soften a little bit? How can I find what is my truth? What is my inner voice saying? And actually take a breath, take a moment, take a pause to listen to it. And then finally, we have just a random, like, it's almost like a mantra deck, but I don't know that it has a name, to be honest with you. And so, but I always like to kind of end with, like, again, like a statement or a mantra that maybe you can use during this process. I am filled with love and light. I think that that's beautiful and completely perfect, because again, like this queen energy that has served a purpose, but is now almost hindering you from moving forward. Not almost, it is hindering you from moving forward. There's love there, but there's definite darkness, especially if you look at just these two together, like much more, again, dark, kind of cold energy here, where this is much more vibrant. There's a lot of warmth. There's a lot of, again, energy moving in here. So this could be a really phenomenal, like, affirmation to say to yourself in the mirror if you're finding, especially if you're finding yourself judging this persona, and maybe or more so judging yourself for it morphing, quote unquote, into something that is no longer serving you. And there might be judgment around, like, okay, well, I need to hurry up and, like, drop this shit because, you know, now it's going to turn into me looking like a bitch, or whatever the case may be. Like, those judgment statements, replace, like, if your brain starts going there, start repeating this kind of a statement, to kind of just, like, again, allow for that breath moment, allow for that kind of softness to come back. So those are your marching orders for the full moon of February, the full moon in Virgo. I hope that is helpful. I hope that resonates. I would love to know what you thought of these messages. Please feel free to comment below. You can also DM me on Instagram, but I just love being able to have those conversations with you guys about how these readings go for you. So we're going to move stack number 1 to the side, and we're going to pull over stack number 2. All right, and we have a little amethyst tumble here. So cute. I just got that recently in a it's a little freebie in a, like, called the Woo Woo box, but it says it's a quarterly subscription of, like, super fun magical stuff. So that I, like, literally, funny story, got it delivered in, like, January, I think, and it's been, like, I opened it all, saw everything, and then I just kind of put it back in the box and put it in my office and forgot about it. And I finally unpacked it last night, and I was like, oh yeah, love it. So everything happens for a reason. Divine timing, baby. Okay, stack number 2. All right, let's see what we've got here. Ooh, we have the 2 of Pentacles, we have the 4 of Pentacles, and we have the 9 of Cups. Okay, interesting. All right. Okay. Ooh, this is fun. All right. So, I almost want to, okay, I'm going to shift these around a little bit and I'll tell you why. So, Two of Pentacles in the context of this reading, as we're talking about full moon, energy of release, all of that good stuff. This card is you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice right now between this hoarding energy. And I do get the feeling that we are talking about financial resources. Yeah, full stop, financial resources. So you have to make a choice between carrying on what you feel is the need to hoard your financial resources, save and scrimp and live frugally, but in a way that, by the way, again, whether you realize it or not, is actually limiting your potential and feels very stifling, and makes you feel very stuck, and it's super fucking uncomfortable. So this reflection exercise for you right now, is, are you willing to release the scarcity mindset? And please trust me when I say, I'm not saying this as though it's going to be like a snap of the finger and you're just going to all of a sudden go from feeling like you have nothing and will never have anything to feeling like, oh, I can spend all the money in the world and it's all, like I'm going to be a bajillionaire. Like I know that it is a lot of layers, a lot of stories to kind of unpack, a lot of shifts to make, a lot of prosperity consciousness work continuously. So right now, what you're being told is now is the time to make the choice how you want to move forward from here. Do you want to stay stuck in this scarcity mindset, in the fear of that, in the smallness of that? Or are you willing to choose to start the prosperity consciousness work, to start exploring those stories that have made you feel like you have to hold so tightly to these quote unquote limited resources that you have? And are you willing to trust and believe that you can actually be very expansive, very vulnerable, very free-flowing with your financial resources, knowing that more can and will be on its way to you? And this outcome, like this choice versus this choice, this is choosing to be open, really open to receive. So again, it is absolutely about financial resources, but it's also like open to receive, or open to receiving and experiencing joy, again, vulnerability, love, like other emotions as well. And that freedom, because you aren't free to feel anything but fear in this place. But in this place, if you're willing to do the work to release this scarcity, these scarcity stories, these scarcity beliefs, it's not just a mindset, it's a full-on, fully grounded, fully rooted in belief system. And again, there's zero judgment, and I am speaking from more than you can imagine personal experience. But these are hardcore belief systems. And so it's going to take work to be able to get through the layers of that. And that's totally fine. And so all you're being asked to do is decide, is it worth it to you, no matter how scary it will feel, no matter how like unknown you think all of that is it worth it to you for the potential of this freedom, emotional freedom and financial freedom? And it's not that, money makes you happy necessarily, but it allows you to feel joy easier because you're no longer filled with that fear. It's just the truth of our world, and that's totally fine. And so again, you have a choice right now. So your reflection exercise is to decide, is to reflect on, why do I feel like I have to hoard my resources? Why do I feel like I have to hold so tightly? Why do I feel like I'm so fucking limited all the time? And am I willing to do the work to let go and open myself up to receiving more than I could ever even imagine, and to being this very free, joyful, like loosey-goosey person. Again, there's a lot of like tightness here, and there's a lot of openness here, if that makes sense. So that is your guidance in terms of how to utilize this reflection and ultimately what to release. However, free will is everything. You can choose or not to release this. But this is a suggestion of what is a good idea to release. Okay, let's have the Saltwater Spirit Oracle cards. Soul recognition. There are souls moving towards you who will divinely help you on your path. So the releasing of these belief systems, if you choose to do that, you will be so supported, not only by your spirit team, but also you will find yourself able to find other people that can help you and support you on that journey to releasing that. Honestly, I am one of those people, just as an FYI, you can tuck that in the back of your brain. But utilizing resources with people who can provide you with mentorship, guidance, healing opportunities. With this being such a deeply rooted belief system, NLP work is going to be like such a huge key for you. And so if that is something that you're interested in, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. You basically, try to be a super small nutshell here, because we can obviously talk about it one-on-one if it's something that interests you. But essentially it is identifying those limiting beliefs, those stories that you tell yourself that keep you stuck in places you do not want to be anymore, and you feel so fucking frustrated that you can't get yourself out of those things. During an NLP session, we identify kind of what's the loudest story today, and you start to visualize what is the part of you that is telling that story. Like literally, what do they look like? What are they? Are they a humanoid creature? Are they a blob? Like, what is it? What is the physical representation? Who is that part? You then get to, discover kind of like what the positive intention of that part is, because there is always a positive intention, even when the results are not positive. But being able to kind of detach yourself and see that part of you as a little bit of a separate entity allows you to then work towards that forgiveness, towards that gratitude for what that part has been trying to do for you. And then you get to give that part a completely different job to do for you. So it's incredibly powerful. It opens up the science of it is it opens up a new neural pathway in your brain. So your thoughts literally start traveling down a different road than they did before. And you get to decide what that road looks like. And it is the most impactful healing modality I've ever done in my entire life. I have personally been doing NLP for my, as a client, if you will, for over 2 decades. And I've been certified for almost 2 decades. So, oh my God, I'm getting so old. Not really, just, it's crazy to say that. And so that is a incredible way and resource and tool for you to be able to actually like put some serious work into finally letting this shit go so that you can live that more freeing life that you want. So again, there are all sorts of people, and your spirit team is rallying around you, so that you don't have to try to navigate this alone. You're just being asked to take a few moments now alone to reflect and say, am I ready? Or rather, am I willing to be ready to shift this? So again, if you are, and if you are ready to like hit the ground running and truly make some huge impacts to those stories, let's talk about getting into some divine healing work. You can DM me on Instagram, comment here if you want to, but let's talk about it for sure. We have the Starseed Oracle. Portal. Doors are opening. You decide. Rewards wild card. So again, the doors are opening for you to finally let this shit go, but it is up to you, and it is totally, your spirit team is telling you, no matter what you decide, we are still here for you, but we are going to be here for you in a different way depending on your decision. Like the support, you're supported and protected and guided the whole time, but the guidance might look different depending on that decision that you make. And ultimately, there are huge rewards waiting for you in so many more ways than you could ever imagine, which is kind of that like wild card energy. Like you have the capacity to receive so much more than you could have ever thought if you are willing to make the decision to move into that next evolution of yourself, rather. Exalted Moon, self-regulation. So this, I feel, this is almost like a little, like a hug, to say, we know that this is scary. We know that this energy feels fucking scary. We also know that deciding to release this energy is probably even scarier. And so knowing that, A, that's totally okay, and B, let's figure out some ways that you can kind of breathe through those scariest moments and get to the next moment, right? Before you like lose all your nerve, kind of a thing. And so that can be things like having a couple prayers that are like your go-tos when you start to like spin in your head about or start to spiral down into that fear place. What can be a quick prayer or two that you can just start repeating in your head or out loud, depending on where you're at, that can kind of pull you back out. Maybe it is tapping techniques. Maybe it's like full on meditation, daily. But more so like, what are some in the moment things that you can do that will just allow you to like breathe again for a minute to move more groundedly into the next moment. I will heal and move on. Yes, freaking baby, you will. I will heal and move on. You absolutely will. You absolutely will. And it's going to feel scary because it just is. But this right here can be this self-regulation moment. Because this is like, again, that reassurance that no matter what I'm feeling right now, I will heal and move on from this. And this is what's waiting for you. If you are willing to just start moving towards it. Put her on top because she wants to be on top. Okay, so that is stack 2. Again, I hope that resonates for you. I hope that is something that is helpful. And yeah, we're going to move on to stack 3. All right. Move that baby over there. Let's see. Oops. What we've got. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, we have the Page of Swords. Ooh, we have the Emperor. Ooh, all right. We got some big cards here. All right, the Page of Swords, the Emperor, and the Strength card. Okay, I absolutely love this so much. Okay, here's what's coming through. So the page cards in the decks always, to me, have this energy of like a student energy. So you have been kind of in this learning mode, this kind of curiosity mode, amateur mode, I guess, like if we're talking like amateur versus professional, right? So again, this like learning, studying, honing your craft kind of mode. And so for you, for this kind of full moon, what I'm getting that you need to release is, I get the feeling that you think you need to continue to be in that student learning mode, that you haven't learned enough to be quote unquote qualified to do what it is you're wanting to do. So what Spirit is asking, what your Spirit team is asking you to do, or is first saying, is that's complete bullshit. You are absolutely ready. You have absolutely learned enough to be quote unquote qualified enough. It doesn't mean you're going to stop learning, but you are being asked to release the limiting belief that says you have to continue learning before you can put that knowledge into action, because now is the time to start putting that knowledge you've gained already into action. And you absolutely should remain open to receiving more knowledge. We all should, for sure. But right now it's holding you back by thinking that you only need to continue learning, that you can't put that knowledge you've already gained. You're downplaying the knowledge you already have. You're downplaying the experience you already have. So ultimately, the way to do that, I have a feeling that this is going to be like a short and sweet, the messages are very clear on this one. The way to do that, the way to release that belief, or start releasing that belief, that you have to keep learning before you can do anything, is to literally just surrender to your spiritual practices, tap into God, into source, into spirit, into whatever like highest kind of power you believe in or you resonate with, and truly allow for like a conversation with that energy. It's why I personally always steer towards God as kind of the moniker, because I love having that like person versus like the universe is very just like amorphous and, big. So really having a conversation with God that says, I am trusting that you believe I'm ready. Like the teacher to the student kind of thing, right? Like, allow yourself to be reassured, grasshopper, that you are ready to go out into the world, and allow yourself to be kind of like pushed out the door a little bit lovingly. And then with the Strength card, like this is you in this experience, tapped into your inner strength, but very closely guided and protected by God, by your spirit team, by your spirituality, to kind of bolster. And sometimes with the Strength card, depending on the deck, the imagery might be the woman. It's usually a woman. I feel like it's almost always a woman. Anyways, the human on the card is sometimes riding on top of the lion. And so in this particular card, that's not the case, because you don't need to be carried right now. But the lion is very close by, kind of behind you, right? Like, kind of guiding you forward, and also just watching your back, protecting you. But at times when needed, absolutely, you can hop up on that bad boy and be carried a little bit. So this, your action to take from this is one, you need to release the idea that you're not ready to put your knowledge you've already gained into action. And two, the action you need to take first and foremost is to tap into your, like, the core of your spirituality and have a little convo with God and hear from the teacher himself that you are ready to go out into the world and that I am here with you. And then really, really visualize, honestly, whatever comes to mind when you look at this card, like that energy. How does that translate into how you will walk forward? Like what do you visualize when that comes to mind for yourself? And really spend time in that kind of a meditative space, picturing yourself on that path that you've been, learning all the ins and outs of, on that path with God and your spirit team right there with you the entire way. And again, allow them to carry you when it's necessary, and visualize that happening so that it gives you permission. It gives your psyche permission to allow that when the time comes that you need it. Like I said, that one was going to be short and sweet. Very clear. Okay, we have Moon Jellyfish, the illumination of your deepest secret self. So again, this is where you spend time really envisioning who is your, like, most powerful self. Who is that version of you? Who is that person you want to be? And spending time with that version of you, stepping into that version of you and being guided, and the illumination, like your spirit team is there to shine the light on you. And so allow yourself to be seen by yourself and others, obviously, but like you have to see yourself first. Okay, we have loosen your grip. Coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. I'm going to tell you the addiction, where I see that as potentially relevant in the context of this is addiction to learning more. If that makes sense. Like, oh, I need to learn this before I can go do this thing, or I need to learn that before I can do that, whatever. So that's maybe where the addiction comes in, but let God in. I mean, hello, let God in, let God in. And the coping mechanisms, again, simply holding the belief that you haven't learned everything you need to learn yet before you can go do the thing. That's a coping mechanism, because you're saying, no, I'm not quite ready because I need to do this first, or I need to learn about this first, or I need to take this course, or I need to complete this program, or whatever. I need to do this research. Like, that's a coping mechanism, because it keeps you from fully expressing yourself. It keeps you from putting yourself out there, which is scary to do. We have follow the moon, watch for signs. So that's where tapping into, grounding into your most powerful self that is most deeply connected to your spirit team. They're going to give you signs all fucking day long. They're going to be nudging you the whole time. And so that is where you can lean back on that when you start to doubt your knowledge, or maybe you will. I mean, again, we're always learning things all the time. We're never going to know everything. And so you're going to be faced with things that you're like, oh shit, I don't know how to do that. But instead of spiraling backwards and saying, oh my God, okay, now I need to, like, stop everything I'm doing and take this, 6-month course on learning this thing before I can move forward. The first thing you should do is, oh my God, I don't know how to do this thing. Okay, God, what should I do in this case? Where can I find the help that I need, or whatever, and be open to receiving whatever form that takes. Baby, radiate confidence. You know it. You know what you need to fucking know. You know what you need to know to take the first, 10 steps, for Christ's sake. So be confident in yourself. Be confident in what you do know. Stop underselling yourself to yourself. You are the one holding you back right now. And that, again, not a single stitch of judgment about that. this is just the reality. This is the reality, the reality that is being channeled through me to you. And that means you get to decide to release that lack of confidence. You get to decide to really recognize everything that you do already know and every resource you already have within you to again, start that thing that you've been wanting to do. And it's not going to be perfect from the get-go. It doesn't need to be. It needs to be able to be in evolution, just like you as a human being are. So again, you're never going to stop learning, but you need to stop only learning and you need to start taking action. All right. Well, that one was fun. I also love how like all these look together, but anyways, I'm a geek about stuff like that. So I hope that you enjoyed all of these messages, no matter what stack you selected. Also, if you do, if this kind of sparks something in you that's like, ooh, I need to know more about this thing, because obviously this is like a snapshot in time, right? Like this is an action point, a decision point, a threshold, if you will. So if you feel like, love that, but I really need to, like, I want to better understand how this more generalized guidance might be, more specific to me and my journey, let's do a private reading. Again, we can do 1 hour readings, or if you're starting a new endeavor, or honestly, each one of these stacks is kind of dictating a journey, right? It's not just a light switch. It's not just a yes or no kind of decision that you're trying to make. So I also offer the spiritual GPS subscription, or membership rather. And basically once a month, you get a credit for one reading. You can schedule at any time during the month. We can set it up to be like the same day every month if you wanted to, or definitely can be flexible to be kind of when you need it. Of course, contingent on my availability, but it's a really fun and incredible way to be able to like just have a checkpoint and be able to touch base with your spirit team on a regular basis, so that you're never like 6 months down the road and feel completely bewildered and lost again. So if that's something you are interested in, the link will also be down below. But I have so much fun doing these, and I'm loving all of the feedback and everything I've gotten so far, so keep it coming. I think this is a very exciting opportunity for all of us, if you choose to take the guidance given here. And I hope you all have a lovely full moon, that you get as much rest as possible because full moons tend to fuck with our sleep cycle. But yeah, with that, I will see y'all in the next one. It will be the March reading. So on the 1st of the month, I will be posting kind of an energetic reading for the month of March. So that will be coming up, holy moly, next week. Can't believe it. All right. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and share with your friends and loved ones if you found this impactful in any way, because I'd love to just keep growing this little community of ours. So thank you so much, and I will see y'all in the next one.